Here are a few of my tips on preparing for the Common Final Examination, also known as the CFE, things that worked for me and helped me during my journey to becoming a chartered professional accountant. Learn to type fast. Time is of the essence during this exam, so being able to type fast will definitely save you time. If you're not a fast typer, do yourself a favor and develop this skill. There are many online tools to help you develop typing speed and accuracy. Don't waste your time proofreading for minor spelling errors. It's okay to have typos and spelling errors. As long as the marker can easily read and understand the words, you should be fine. You definitely don't want to be going back to proofread and fix all your mistyped ands and thes. The exam is extremely time sensitive, and correcting minor spelling errors will consume your time. Become familiar with the rules and understand them and follow them. The CFE is a very strict exam, and they send you all the rules in advance, explaining what you can and cannot bring. Don't take chances because they will take the unapproved items from you. At the time of my exam, they had specifically stated no opaque water bottles. All bottles had to be clear with no labeling. Yet some people did not follow the rules and couldn't keep their water bottles. And during a 3+ hour exam, you don't want to take chances. I, for example, had 5 pencils with me because they didn't allow pencil sharpeners, and they did take away people's sharpeners. And yes, you will need pencils because of the note taking when you read all the cases. This leads to my next point. You don't want to rush reading and note taking. Now, I'm not saying to read super slowly and use up all your time, but if you read the cases clearly and make the necessary notes on the sides and on the case itself, it will save you time from rereading. Now, we can make a whole video on the note taking part because really there's an art to making notes on your cases, and doing it properly will save you time from rereading the case to find the points you are looking for. If you can read with quality and make quality notes, then writing your solution will be easier and faster. Know how to look up items in the handbook. You don't have to memorize the handbook, but rather know how to look up things fast. I had a friend who was determined to memorize as much as the handbook and know how to deal with the situations inside out. It didn't work out well for her. She actually ended up rewriting twice. You need to be fast at looking up the items. This way, you can quote and reference the handbook as your evidence and provide the solution. Trust the process and trust yourself. The first case I ever did was actually a really short one. It was a 30-minute case, which took me 4 or 5 hours to complete. And that's not it. When marking the case, I would have failed as per the marking guide. I felt like there was no way I'm ever going to be able to solve such cases in 30 minutes or less and pass as per the marking guide when it literally took me 4 or 5 hours to do a 30-minute case, and yet it was not up to par. But I'm telling you, with practice, it is possible. Don't get discouraged. Do not panic. I cannot emphasize this point enough, especially if time is wasted. Don't panic. Believe it or not, the damage from the stress is a lot more than the damage of losing 5 or 10 minutes. Whether your computer crashes, or if you really need to use the washroom, or whatever other scenario may cause lost time, just breathe. It's okay. If you stress, then you will not think clearly, and that damage is much more harmful to your performance. Get familiar with the software. I actually recommend doing all the cases during the 2 month study period before the exam in the actual simulated software. Don't use a regular Word or Excel document. Knowing and being familiar with the environment in which you will be working in terms of software is crucial. You need to make yourself super comfortable using it and switching to the handbook and grabbing the sections. For example, in the software we used when writing the CFE, there was no autocorrect. It's not like a regular Word document. And the Excel inside the software didn't highlight all the cells used in typed formulas. You know, when you double click a cell or formula in a normal Excel file, you can see all the cells captured in the formula as they become like highlighted in different colors. The software may not do that, so you really need to be prepared by using the software you will be tested in. Similar to getting comfortable with the software, get comfortable with your physical tools. For example, I made sure to always practice with the laptop I knew I was taking to the exam. I wanted to really get used to its keyboard and the screen size. Also, a side note for some of you, since the exam is done with one screen, which is your laptop screen, you shouldn't be doing your practice cases with two monitors. So, if you're thinking of practicing using your work setup where you have the luxury of two monitors and where you can, pop the case on one screen and be typing your work on another screen, that's not going to help you during the exam when you have to work with only the laptop screen. So, really, I would say the months leading up to the exam, try to simulate the exam environment as much as possible to help you. Now, one thing that can be beneficial is having a laptop with a decent screen size. Make sure you're ready and comfortable during the exam. Wear comfortable clothing if you like to tie your hair back, anything that would make you comfortable and focused during the exam. Prepare ahead of time, whatever you need to bring. For example, if you can't work with dry hands and you need to bring lotion, make sure to have a small clear plastic container if they allow it. Put everything in a clear plastic bag. Just prepare in advance and make sure that you are comfortable. I highly recommend having a study schedule. At the same time, I also recommend that you don't overstudy because you must avoid burnout. Usually, 2 months before the exam, you really need to buckle down and have a solid schedule for practicing as many cases as you can. And you must have a schedule to rely on. For example, I had a calendar as my schedule, and every day was broken to morning and afternoon, where I scheduled different cases, specifically naming the cases I was to do in the morning and the ones to do in the afternoon. I stuck to the schedule religiously. I had free days. Not every day was a study day because, like I said, you need to avoid burnout. You really shouldn't overstudy. Also, a sub point to this is being organized. It really can help you during the process and will make your life easier. For example, I printed my schedule, I had it at the front of my big binder, and in the binder, I also had pre printed all the cases. I placed them in plastic sleeves, or you can hole punch them as long as you keep them in sequence and they're easy to grab. This makes your life and studying process much easier. You have your schedule, your cases are all pre printed, so you just grab and go. Find yourself study buddies. You don't need to actually study together. I personally like to study alone, but having people who are going through the same thing as you can be a great support system, and you tend to push and encourage one another. I was lucky I had 4 or 5 close people in my circle doing the same thing I was, and it helps seeing that you aren't alone. We all studied all the time, our summer was ruined, and we were all stressed, but we encouraged each other to keep going. Don't compare yourself to others. Everyone is different. There are so many variables that determine how well you progress during the study process. Your skills, background of experience, personal life, and family situation are all variables, and we all deal with a different set. So don't compare yourself and don't judge others either. Just do your best to progress. For example, if you've worked at a big firm for a while and had the right experience, you'll obviously be more exposed to certain topics. If you haven't worked at a firm, don't worry, you can learn anything. Make sure you're taking good care of your mental health. Get good sleep. Your brain needs to be in top notch shape and it needs adequate sleep. Stay away from all negativity. Don't talk to people who give you negative energy. Protect yourself. You want to be in the best mental state as possible. And do what makes you happy. You need to be in a good state of mind, whether it's doing a fun activity with friends, spending some time with your kids, whatever makes you happy, do it and schedule it in. I hope you found this video helpful. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and good luck on your exam.